Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Long time no see and I hope that you've been doing fine. For those who don't know, my name is Alex from Lionspo. I'm a beginner filmmaker from Czech Republic and my goal and my dream is to inspire as many people as I can to start their journey to their dreams. It's scary, it's hard, but you're gonna like it. I bought Blackmagic 6K Pro and today I'd like to share my experience with using this camera, show you some color graded footage from my actual work, and then I'd like to answer some questions that I was struggling to understand while choosing this camera. I'd like to tell you about manual focus in this camera and is this hard for a beginner as I am to use it, as well as I'd like to share my experience using manual focus using a gimbal with the camera. I'd like to recommend you some gimbals to use with this camera, though I was even able to stabilize this camera on Gimbal S, which is a very small gimbal. I don't have it at the moment because I already sold it, but I'll answer that question too. 120 frames per second, is this crop is really that bad? Show you some color graded footage from the camera and what this camera is capable of, including low light situations from my video clips, commercials and real estate videos, at least what I was able as a beginner to achieve with the camera. What is dual ISO in easy words and how I understood it, and are those ND filters any good? Inbuilt ND filters, and is there any color shift using them? I will be talking about battery life, is it any good in this camera, about this incredible display, and I saved some ugly stuff to the end, so please stay with me if you are interested in any of those topics. So without further ado, let's hop in. Since the day one I was using Sony a6400 and I was heavily relying on autofocus because in this camera the autofocus is just that good. I was using it in all of my video clips, commercials, real estate videos and some run and gun style of social network, because like my main stream of income at the moment is social media videos, and yeah, autofocus is just incredible for those purposes. In simple words, to answer your question, no, this is not difficult to use a manual focus. And after using this camera for 1 or 2 weeks maybe, manual focus became like second nature to me, and you can really focus your viewers' attention to the subject you want camera to see, like not to rely on autofocus, though it is really good in cameras nowadays. The ability to pull manual focus just gives you something different. You can feel your camera, you can feel what you film, and you are not afraid to go even deeper, you know, in some different angles, maybe to shoot behind someone's back, maybe shoot behind someone's arm, and you know that you control the focus, so your viewer's attention will, like, you know, this hunting when it goes on and on when you have autofocus and something in your frame, actually, to have it like a deeper view, then manual focus is mandatory. But I really like the simplicity of using autofocus. Even though I use manual focus from time to time, depending on the scene, in 99% of the time I will use my autofocus on my Canon R6, which I'm shooting with now, and on my Sony a6400, because it's just that good. I need to tell you that the ability to manual focus is an incredible tool, and every filmmaker needs to know how to manual focus because you really need it from time to time. But as for me now, I really like the simplicity of using those mirrorless cameras like Canon R6 or Sony a6400, when you can just simply take out your camera, put it on a gimbal and start shooting, and that's it. You don't need to spend 40 minutes to set this up on a gimbal or stuff like this, but let's talk about it when I will be talking about gimbals, which is now. Using this huge camera with the gimbal can be quite a challenge because it's not proportional, so it is very difficult for you to balance it on a gimbal. And I was able to balance this camera on Gimbal S and even was able to shoot a real estate video with the camera using it with a Gimbal S. How I did it, I simply bought this counterweight from Small Rig and I put this camera with a small rig on it on a Gimbal S, and then I used my 15mm Canon EF, and yeah, I used this counterweight, and I put this counterweight on the other side on the Gimbal S gimbal. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore because I sold it, because I bought a better one. I bought Zhiyun Crane 3S to work with this camera, yeah, because it has a very big load, let's say. But yeah, if you buy those counterweights, you will be able to use your Gimbal S, or maybe even you will be able to use Ronin S. I'm not sure about that, but it is possible to balance your Blackmagic 6K Pro with a Gimbal S using those counterweights. Even though you can use this camera with a gimbal, you need to realize that you have manual focus there, then you need to use manual focus motor, and then when you'd like to switch your lenses, you need to put another lens, and you need to put this stuff around your lens so the motor can actually focus wheel. Yeah, you need to put focus wheel on your lens. And first time when I was setting up this camera on a gimbal, it took me about 1 hour to understand how everything works. And now, even though I understand how to do that, to set this camera up, it takes me about 30 minutes on a gimbal. And this is not the way I'd like to be working, because whenever I go outside or I would like to film something on a gimbal, I know that the moment can pass, you know, you have some beautiful sunset, let's say, and you want your camera moving steadily because it doesn't, no, not this one. This one doesn't have any in-body image stabilization. So you need to put it on a gimbal if you want to make some moves. And this is so annoying when you're setting up your camera that long. Okay, when you're using this camera for some bigger production, maybe you're shooting some video clips, or maybe you're using it for some bigger commercials, of course, it's a no-brainer. But for me, with my run and gun style of shooting, this is a nightmare to put this camera on a gimbal. If you like 120 frames per second as I do, please be prepared to buy a very wide lens. This is Canon EF 15mm. Just because in the 120 frames per second there is massive 3x crop, and it is very annoying that you have to use something that wide to be able to film in 120 frames per second. Come on guys, no. And now guys, please enjoy watching some color graded shots with the camera. I use DaVinci Resolve for my color grading purposes. I also use some LUT conversions I bought from other YouTubers just to save time with CST's nodes. Besides, I don't like native DaVinci Transform Color. Having the ability to download any LUT here and then use it when filming, just to have a general idea how your footage will look like, is really incredible and very handy feature. As well as it saves a lot of time, and having LUT, like I enjoy using LUTs for every camera I own here, just because conversion LUTs are so much faster than using color space transform nodes in DaVinci Resolve. Besides, it saves you a lot of time, but be careful and buy those LUTs from the guys you really enjoy image quality of. Because when you buy a LUT from someone whose YouTube video doesn't look that great, in your opinion, of course it's all, maybe my footage doesn't look that great. When you buy LUTs, you need to buy LUTs from guys whose work you really like. Color grading work, of course. Dual ISO, in easy words, is very easy. 400 ISO is for your normal light condition, 3200 is for your low light condition. But be careful whenever, for example, you set your scene the way only that you want your subject to be visible. Don't use 3200 because it will bring up all the shadows in your shot. Just use a general 400, and then you will be able to play with it in a post-production. You simply take your footage, import it into DaVinci Resolve, then you can go to your camera raw settings, and from there you can change it from 100 to 200, 300, 400, 500, and so on and so forth. Whenever you switch to 3200, you can go up and you can go down as well, up to I think 1200, then it comes down. Yeah, and then you can save all this dynamic range and stuff like this. The feeling from the camera is far more important, and your experience using it is far more important than knowing all this dynamic range and saving some highlights, blah 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 blah. For me, as a beginner, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a beginner. Doesn't really matter. Just 400 for normal light, 3200 for low light. That's it. Then just experience. Then just experiment. ND filters in the camera are incredible. Whenever you switch a lens, you don't have to think about your ND filter, which I have on my camera now, for example, and having it inbuilt is very great. The only thing I think it lacks that it only goes with the 2 stops, and sometimes it's too much, sometimes it's too little. Yeah, so yeah, this is a downside, but there is nothing you can do about it. If it's built in, it means that there are several filters which interchange when you push those buttons, and they just calm down from there. And so if you want more filters, you would need to make this camera even bigger, even more expensive. So yeah, don't listen to anyone. Besides this color shift, even though I didn't see any color shift with the camera and using ND filters, you can easily manage it in post-production, because whenever you are filming with a B-RAW, it's like RAW format for the camera, for the Blackmagic 6K Pro, you can easily change your white balance in a post-production. It's just like this. So no worries about ND filters. Please stop being picky. And if you like the image quality from the camera, that only thing which matters, as well as usability and friendliness of the camera, it is huge, and this is very time-consuming to use. To be honest with you about battery life, I have 3 batteries, and I never used any V-mount battery or anything like this on any shooting, any of video clips, anything else, commercial stuff like this. I have a charger, additional charger, so whenever I'm filming, both of my batteries are in the charger, and then whenever this battery dies, I simply exchange those batteries. But it takes for those batteries about 30 to 35 minutes to drain, and yeah, the lifespan is not that great, because I was filming just yesterday dance video outside with my Canon R6, and I was able to film there like maybe for 4 to 5 hours, of course with some shots, stop, switching off, switching on camera, but I was able to film for 5 hours approximately with only 1 battery. When using Blackmagic 6K Pro, I was constantly switching those batteries. And when you have your camera on a gimbal, this is so very time consuming to open up the safe for the battery, open up this door, because whenever your camera is on a gimbal, usually this door is blocked, so you have unscrew your gimbal, take off the battery, put back battery, and then put it back on a gimbal. And this is not that great of an experience. But yeah, you can live with it. I was filming with this camera for a few months and I was enjoying it. Why not? Also, what I enjoy about this camera is this huge display. It's like I have iPhone X, and you can imagine that this is as big as my iPhone X almost. Yeah, here they are. Yeah, you can see it like this. And then, yeah, you can see everything in this monitor. You can see your false colors, you can see your manual picking assistant, you can see a lot, you can see your subject, you can see if there is anything which shouldn't be there in the background, because using this small display like in Canon R6, you can easily miss something from the scene which shouldn't be there. Of course, it happens even to bigger films. We all know Game of Thrones and Starbucks coffee there, but nevertheless, it's so many needs. You can see this display in the bright sunshine. I don't recommend, at least I didn't use it, and I don't think that this is a necessity to buy a viewer, I don't know how it's called, view something for the eye, where you can just look and film it like this. I was using my display all the time, and yeah, this is just simply great. In the end of the day, this is an incredible camera. It provides you with a really great user experience, really easy to understand and use menu. It took me like about maybe 1 hour to understand everything which this menu provides. It's very easy to film with this camera, though it is time consuming. It provides with such great quality that you want to come back to it again and again and again, and this tilting display helped me a lot because I don't know how I would be using this camera without it, like it was in Blackmagic 6K and 4K and before that. Yeah, but I would rather prefer having it like Canons to the side. And yeah, those ND filters, battery life, not that bad. I filmed few video clips with this, and yeah, the image quality is great. Everything about this camera is great. But for me, it's huge, it's not that great to use, it's time consuming, and it doesn't feel that great in my hand. So that's why I will not be using it, at least for now. Maybe for some bigger productions, yes. But now I'm enjoying my Canon R6 and I will be using it. And now to the ugly thing I wanted to tell you. I managed to destroy this camera after having it only for 3 or 2 months. How I did that and how you need to prevent from happening it, you will see in the next video. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that this review at least helped you to understand something about this camera and my user experience, and why I do or do not recommend this camera for someone and for others, yes. I hope that you understood if you can use it with Gimbal, whether this camera is for you. I hope that you like the footage I showed you from the camera. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram right here. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If there is something missing and you would like to know something about this camera, please let me know in the comments down below. And of course, please leave a like to this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your time. Let's inspire each other, let's help each other choosing our gear, and see you in the next video.